Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today is a review for the week ending August 13th, 2021. We are looking at a chart of the S&P 500. So, close it high on week. The bearish momentum divergence continues. And the only thing that you should notice on this chart is how she's rode SMA 10, this orange line, the whole time. This is something that people struggle with a lot. Like this week here, she went below the 10. Yep, she closed right above it. She went below, she went below. She went below, she went below. She went below, she went below. Right? The reality is the slope of this 10 and this 20 and this yellow 5 have kept price in a strong uptrend really since November. We'll take a look at the daily. I think we're long on the weekly still. Yep. Long on the daily again. Got long August 4th. And what looks like at the top of supply, but to be honest, I don't think there's any supply. I think that's why this, low participation summer is and has been a melt up. Right? Here's July. I had one little expanded ABC maybe, and then bull flag. And since July 23rd, price has moved 1%. So in a whole month, it's moved 1%, right? So don't overtrade. Don't do much. The ETFs are fine. They're not on the brink of collapse. I've pointed this out many times. This monthly PPO is not at the verge of collapse. People have been calling a collapse since September, and she goes up every month. So don't short the market. We're not collapsing, right? When she does, the first few dips will be for buying, all the way down to 400 for the most part. Right, this gap back here is where I think the next best swing entry will come from if that ever gets filled. All right, so let's take a look at Qs. Same story, right? Bearish divergence. This time, there was no steep drop in price. They've actually just exhausted the bears by going sideways, right? From the high, when the PPO peaked, price is up 1%. And PPO is down almost 2%. So, these ETFs are insane. Again, same story here. What I want to point out, real simple, right? Riding the 10, the 20. You don't need to overthink this. If it's above the 10 and the 20, look at the slope, look at the configuration. You're fine. Ideally, it would be great if PPO got back down to negative and then curled up and did one of these little higher low, higher highs, and then launch, coming all the way back down to this blue box. Right? And ideally, it would happen by September 3rd. But again, PPO configuration, bullish. There's nothing to do here. Everything looks good. HODL, bull flag. Nothing to do. This one's pretty cool. SMH here broke last week's low, closed below, filled the gap at 263.14, closed below that gap. Actually, there wasn't a gap at 263.14. Sorry, I misread that. So this one, super bullish, riding the 10, riding the 20. Pulled back into the 5, closed below the 5 on the weekly. So you could have some concern here. But again, I look at this and I would say we've had our, first wave up, our 50% retrace. And, even if it's like that, it doesn't matter. We hit 50%. ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking for one more hit high here. and then an ABC pullback again into this blue box. This blue box is where I will be buying and accumulating shares. As you can see, she's riding the 20. She's below the 10, below the yellow, so the short-term trend is dead, and they've fallen to the intermediate trends, the 20 and the 40. And the PPO is bearish cross. Histogram still going lower. So I did add here. We had the signal go on the 12th and the 13th. But just pointing out that this is the aggressive entry. She could certainly pull back more. But I do love this, high that started this, 5 months of correction. We're now above that high. So that's an awesome look. Very, very bullish. I bought here. I'll buy all the way down to 250. This gap here would be the best. I don't think we're going to get that. I think best case scenario, we get the 200 in a month. Yeah, let's take a look at IWM. So this one is starting to look a bit concerning. The histogram, again, only one day, right? So we're not too upset with that. But we've started the pullback at the 0 line. So what could certainly happen here is a steeper pullback. But again, above the 20, inside this ascending channel, a series of higher lows and higher highs, right? And every time she sets a high, she puts in this little ABC correction. It's quite interesting to watch, really. Another high, another ABC correction, another high, another ABC correction, right? So this correction may have to break, this low. Who knows? Tag this trend line again. There's a gap here at 218. Below 218, I think you're in trouble. So that's how I'm looking at this one. The weeklies get a very interesting look as well, because below this blue line is a lot of no support, right? Literally no support. She went straight up, so she didn't base along the way, right? The last time she based was back here, and we would be looking for this whole base to definitely provide demand if this blue line is lost, right? There's some levels along the way down that you might find, might catch a bid at. There's a gap there. But again, this blue line is very steep. PPO is almost back to the 0 line. The histogram is rounding. So the weekly looks okay, but what we don't have is price above the 10 and the 20, like we talked about in all the other trending markets. So until that happens, there's going to be overhead supply. The question becomes, what type of move are we going to get, and what's the direction? Right now, the type of move is at least 2 inside weeks, if not the third, depending on how you want to count it. And you could argue it's all inside this candle here too, right? This is definitely bull flag posture. What makes this market so boring is she's literally gone nowhere in 3 weeks. And it's not like this is one that you could have been day trade. I don't even recommend you day trade this, right? The moves are so tiny. You got 2%, and that's if you nailed the high and the low. 3% correction, 7% peak to trough, and 5.75 if you've just bought and hold. So, not a lot happening. Yeah, so let's take a look at some of the stocks that I like inside the ETFs. Nvidia, love Nvidia. Still one of the best performing stocks going back the last 5 years on pretty much everyone's time frame. Beautiful trend here at the 40. The daily is showing this beautiful, ascending channel for this momentum. You can see it in price, a series of higher lows, higher highs, but you can also see, just how like the trend at the 100 back here, at the 40 here, has kind of been like the gas station where they accumulate shares before they start the next ride. So, it looks like that's happening now, and they're back above all the moving averages. Again, riding the orange SMA 10. When the markets are trending, that's the indicator you want to buy and hold and trade against, and use that as your trailing stop. And there's nothing wrong with this chart. Now, above 205 looks very good. Until she gets above 205, she'll probably go sideways. Here's another one that I like a lot. I have to talk about Airbnb. Close above 150.42. Close above this gap at 151.21. Really, there's only this level left, the 157 level. Just connecting the highs, right? There's a high probability that we're gonna head up here to this 173 to 185 area before pulling back again. And the way that I look at this, you can take everything off this chart and just take a look at real simple, right? We got a low here. We've got a higher low and another higher low. Question is, do we break this lower high? Because since the high we put in, it's been a series of lower highs and lower lows. If they break this 157.41, that's a strong buy. It's a market buy. And again, you would definitely be looking for a 15% run, maybe 20% if it did it this month. The session's beautiful. If you take the POC from the IPO, everything you need to see. You can also see here that the PPO, while the histogram did get higher on this last run, the PPO did not. And now the blue line is above strongly, right, where we were before. So this is, full-blown trend. You can see it with the 10 and the 5, that look, this ascending, 45-degree angle, whatever that is. It's a nice angle for the trend to just grind higher. I love this little broadening formation. I love how they bought the dip on earnings. I like this chart a lot. Again, fundamentally, I think it's definitely overvalued, but technically, it looks like it's probably going to have a good run for the rest of August. We'll just have to wait and see how that one plays out. I do like Salesforce too. Very interesting pattern here. Is she finally going to get above 253? She did set a new high, put in this doji. Doesn't look that good, but super, super coiled now. And I do think you're going to get a bigger move rather soon. And again, riding the 10, riding the 5, like you'll start to see it's the same structure over and over and over again, right? PPO reset to 0, bull cross. This can trend for a long time, and dips should be bought and accumulated. I feel similar about Okta. This one's now kind of going PPO bearish cross again. It's one of concern. You should definitely be cautious of that, but I do think she's just going to come back down here. And anything below 230 is a strong buy. I am looking to buy Okta this coming week. I've been waiting for that one for a while. Let's take a look at XLF. I did forget to review that ETF. So we got the new all-time high. We got the doji, then the outside bearish reversal candle. PPO histogram starting to wane, but we're still above the 5, so there's no reason to sell yet. You should take some profit if you've been in this trade since here. So this breakout, you should be taking some profit up here where all this supply is. If you bought down here thinking, hey, look, this is a failed breakdown reversal candle, I'd say you're now up 10% on an ETF in 3 weeks. You definitely have to take half off the table. I do think that this thing is likely starting its fifth wave, right? And you see how steep of a correction this was. This is very shallow. But I do think that, you know, we could also have, apologies, we have this PPO curling back up, which is what you want to see. You have the histogram waning, which is what you want to see. And I do think you're going to get to the point where you will have a dip here, put in this cup and handle look on the daily, and then you go from there. And I think that's your next entry to buy. The question becomes, what type of gap is this? Right now, looking like a breakaway gap, breaking away from all this, making this accumulation. That's how they were able to continue higher. Yeah, so just a super strong stock. There's a couple more I want to talk about. Like Penn was escaping, now she's back in, so you don't really know. This one's been stuck for a while, so I'm not getting aggressive yet. PayPal, I do still believe sell every rally. People ask all the time, what can we short? This is one that I've been telling you to short since back here. This look above and fail is textbook. We are targeting somewhere down here, but at minimum this red line. So continue to sell rallies in the same way in a bullish market, where price is above SMA 10, the slope of the 10 is up, and the 10 is above and the 10 is below the yellow line. In a bear market, the 10 is above the yellow line, price is below the orange line, and the slope of the orange line is down. So, this is the exact opposite configuration you want to see. But again, this is just a correction. These things happen all the time. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to zero. It is likely, though, going to take a breather and head back down towards the 40, which is a great opportunity to buy. And cover. So let's even put one in there. In case this one triggers next week. Yeah, so I mean those are some of the big ones that we've been watching. I know we're still let's talk about Bitcoin. Everyone loves Bitcoin, right? Weekly giving us the long last week. PPO histogram showing you how they just like burn off supply at the 40, giving you that cross. This is likely wave 1 of wave 5, and you can see the momentum is still getting higher and higher with this. Yeah, this can certainly keep going. Again, I would anticipate a flagging up here, right? Consolidate supply, those who want to sell at the 200, and then certainly finding lots of overhead supply up here. Something like right there, right? So that's definitely where you're going to have, let's remove all this. You see, up here is where you're going to have the biggest amount of supply. Like there's a lot of people that are trapped up here. So when price gets back to that level, they're going to liquidate. So again, I don't think this is bad at all. I just don't like this for an entry up here. I would want to see an entry back here, retesting 43 at a minimum, and having that align with the 20 or the 40. But again, see how she's just riding the yellow and orange line, right? This is a strong trend. That's what happens in a strong trend. And what you're going to want to see here is, do we get a confirmed weekly PPO cross? Or is it something like this, where we just come up and then, boom, head back down lower? We'll have to wait and see, but right now, very bullish, no reason to exit. The first sign of weakness would be closing below the green line. And when that happens, you want to be patient and look a lot lower. But for now, the orange and green line are your demands, and that's where you want to take a stab. I do want to talk about APA and some of these oil plays. Yeah, like I got out of this one. We got in here, sold right here after she lost the 10. And she's been struggling with this overhead supply. So I'm avoiding oil for now. Kind of like slicing through the 40 below the 200. Not the best configuration. again, I don't like that look. Same thing with Exxon. I will buy Exxon down here at the 40 though. Maybe even lower, maybe $48. So again, I'm not touching oil. We'll take a look at gold. You know, very interesting doji here on GDX at this downtrend on the weekly again, but the PPO very bearish. This can persist for a lot longer than most think, below all the moving averages except the 200. POC is down here at 27, so I'm not touching this until she falls a lot more. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at EMPH. We get stopped out of this one. We'll talk about why we got stopped out of this one. Falling back into the 10, which isn't the end of the world. The PPO is the posture you want to see. So this all looks very good from the weekly time frame. But what I do see here on the daily that is having me look for more of a pullback is we've had the sell signal from the system, right? We got long. We made no money on this last leg. The previous two legs paid quite well. And this is the structure I'm starting to see. Right, it's becoming pretty obvious that the 5-wave move is likely over and that we need to have some type of pullback back here. And if this is correct, you know, this will set up the next best buy, and it could be down here at the 200 and the 100. She closed below the 40, and I talk about this all the time. These trends are very obvious, right? Look at all this resistance at the 40, and then she gets above the 40, comes back in, back tests, sets another high, comes back in, and now we're below. And this is the third time we've touched the 40 going back 1 month. So that's enough for me to say, look, I don't want the 40 as a buy anymore. The 40 has already provided the buy setup. We're moving on to the next trade. And when this PPO crosses back bull and we do get the buy signal again here on the daily, it's one I'm going to be interested in. And it likely will occur around 155 to 144. And until then, we're just going to sit on the sidelines and wait. Another one we got stopped out of was ARC. I'm, again, you know, PPO bearish cross, histogram down, getting bear. We came back to the zero line, bull cross, and then bear cross right away. And now this structure to me looks like an ABC up. There's almost no other way to see this, right? And if that's the case, are we doing one of these now? I don't really know. I would say just from a structure standpoint, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So come on down to 106. And then even if this is an impulse, make it something like that as your ABC, right? So 1, 2, and then launch from there. Again, she had her chance. She crossed up and she got stuffed by the bears, and we're back below the moving averages. And again, she could continue, right? I mean, you could argue maybe she's still in this channel. Fair enough. I exited flat, right? We lost no money on this trade. So, you know, one that I just would rather be on the sideline because we don't have the next long yet. And we do have an exit here. So we're avoiding. Still avoiding all the Chinese stocks. Still avoiding CCL. This isn't ready yet. We had Tilray. I took a small loss on this one. Did get this sell alert. Yeah, I mean, back below all the moving averages. Not what you want to see. Let me get that off the screen for you. Yeah, not what you want to see. PPO bearish cross, histogram rolling over, below the low of this candle, closed two days below, accelerating to the downside in range. These people are trapped. You know, they covered, close above, and then, you know, rejected at the 200. So now it's c'est la vie. I think we're coming down here, $8, $9, fill this gap. I could be wrong. Maybe we're just going to tag this blue line here, right? Stay above the 1160 invalidation. Just set one more low, tag the blue line, and reverse. Again, not not one that you put a lot of money in. You size this one really small, so that if you win, your 1,000% return pays for all the losses. And this one's actually performed really, really well this year. People don't like to play it because it's hard to play, but we've had some really, really strong wins. Yeah, we were definitely in here. We were definitely in here to here. Tried to play here, took a 10% gain. Could have had 40. Gave a lot back. Didn't play here at all. And I do think now that we're back into this line, I think it's worth considering, right? This blue line, that's the line we're watching. And this is an outside, inside, down candle. So we're targeting 1254 at minimum. And if they're going to go back down to that level, they're likely going to break the level. And the question will always be, do they break this 1160, invalidating this wave 4, right? Making this an A, B, C, and then a new impulse lower. Or is this like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got one more all-time high coming? Based on the structure of everything here, it's hard to say. I could definitely see the divergence in price and momentum. Yeah. Either way, I'm watching from the sidelines. The last one we'll cover in that same category is CGC. Same scenario, right? So at these long-term support lines, at the POC from IPO, broke last week's high and low, and closed inside the 1805, closed at 1806, which I found very interesting. Histogram definitely rounding off, and this one is in a strong downtrend, and you have to be cautious. Again, size properly, wait for the reversal, and this is kind of how I see this one playing out. Possibly one more low, and then we'll see where she goes from there. She could even head down to $15 and fill this gap down here. So got to be careful, respect the risk. Again, closing below 1805 and recapturing is bullish. Does have the bullish divergence still, technically, if you're riding this momentum, you could say the bulls are trying, but again, you're below all the moving averages. They're in a bearish posture. It's sell all rallies. That's the mode we're in. Betting on this right now is still very aggressive, very early, not necessary with any size. But again, don't lose sight of these. It's the middle of August. It's the summer lull. And this is when you want to be looking at these things that have been beaten up this much. 70%, 6 months straight, right? Because when that happens, you get one of these rallies. Even worst case scenario, an ABC up before another impulse down puts you back at $31, right? Which is almost a double. So you gotta keep sight of these. When everyone forgets about these, that's when they're back in, and when they look their worst, that's generally when they're ready to be bought. 1832 has been a level that I've been watching for a while. I don't like how price is now below that, so it is of concern. Next week, I am watching to see how they react to this blue line. But that's it. That concludes this video. I hope you guys have a great week. If you like the content, hit the like button, hit subscribe to the channel, and check us out on Twitter.